Greetings, welcome to this week's aBlogtoWatch Weekly. We hope you have decided to tune in live this morning. We record around about 8 o'clock on a Tuesday morning UK time, and if you want to enjoy the unedited, unscripted chaos that is the weekly recording, then now is the time to that's the time to join. Myself and Ariel, David's not aware of this, we're just discussing the two main things. He's maybe not old, actually had a birthday last week, so maybe he is old enough now. That the two things that go first is you always need to ask where the toilet is, and you can never remember what the Wi-Fi password is. Those are two things.
David's birthday? You think David's forgetting the Wi-Fi password already?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm curious about. When does it hit you that you can't remember the Wi-Fi? Or your life becomes about checking where the toilet is.
Why do you have to keep entering the Wi-Fi password? It just sort of stays after you do it one time.
Okay, well, it's more that people keep asking you for it. And I was going to discuss the social nicety of someone coming round to your house who you know, but let's say it's at a party, so there's lots of people around, and they ask for the Wi-Fi password. Have you experienced this? Like a gathering of people?
We have good internet in Hungary, you know. So it's
so you don't need the Wi-Fi.
Nobody needs Wi-Fi.
It's at what stage you feel your relationship has got to that a relative stranger who's attending a password feels comfortable in asking the host for the Wi-Fi password.
You can't be that old if your parties have relative strangers there.
Yeah,
that's a good point. If that's who you're inviting,
the kind of parties I hold. Who knows?
I'm just
saying. I got tricks.
Anyway, there we go. Yes,
if you're hosting raves, you're not old. Okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Has just
a rave.
A tractor rave, yes. As a wee aside, have any of you been following this thing called the Escapement? No.
Aren't there many things called the Escapement? That just doesn't really narrow it down.
This is this event in Saudi Arabia or something, right?
In Abu Dhabi, yeah.
Okay.
Rob Corder asked me about that. Then I said it was like the Fyre Festival. Then he wrote it's like the Fyre Festival.
I was going to say this sounds.
I was genuinely surprised Rob Corder would bring that analogy. I was like, where is this coming from?
It may have been for me.
That's kind of why I was asking. I was like, this seems like a cultural reference that wouldn't necessarily be in Rob's.
He probably looked up the Fyre Festival and was like, oh my God, that's exactly what this is.
At least he spelled it with a Y. So
without having
he looked it up, you know.
Okay. Yeah, this sounds
journalism.
Yeah. Anyway, well, you can go and check out Watchful for that. There's some well-known faces in the watch world involved. That may or may not be encouraging.
I love in the same thing. We're probably talking about the death of Mr. Stern Sr. and the festival that probably will steal your money in Abu Dhabi. Those are the two main topics for the show.
Yes. Anyway, so how's your week's been? What's been happening? Oh, actually, and as an aside, the WhatsApp group, the Ask Ariel Anything section has suddenly bloomed into life. So at some stage during this show, I will display the QR code ever so briefly, and if you can capture it, it
doesn't need to be that briefly.
You too can. I think we should limit it. I think it should be exclusive.
But I don't think the selection criteria should be: can you catch
Can you catch? It's like Pokemon. Can you catch them all?
Okay, I don't think that's how it works. I think there's some effort involved or some diligence there.
What sort of limited number? You know, based on the Watch World limited edition criteria, which brand should we be copying in their approach to limited edition and limited access to things? Like a Q like Rolex or a limited edition of 5,000 like Tag Heuer?
I like first come, first serve.
First come, first served. Well, that's how you get the QR code. First come, first served.
Yeah, but it's more like, can you find the hidden thing? So it's there's a scavenger hunt element, which I don't know about that.
Maybe we should hide the QR code in an article. Ariel, I will send you the QR code this week, and you should hide it in one of the articles. Just randomly, it's a QR code in the corner of an image that you've made. No explanation. Treasure hunt. There we go. I'll send it to you later on. You can try that. Anyway. None
of this is what Ariel has asked for ever. So this is even more fun. Thank you, Rick.
This is the it's not monetization. No one's charging for it, but this is the
Ariel has to actively hide the QR code for a group chat he doesn't want any involvement with. That's fantastic.
No, I like the involvement, but now that I am involved, I demand conforming questions.
Oh, right. Okay. Yes. The questions must conform. So absolutely, under no circumstances, any wrist shots. Let that be a warning to you.
I will school you if you do. That one gentleman, he meant well, but he tried to squeeze one in there. I tried to nip that one in the bud.
Yeah, he squeezed a wrist shot in there. He got schooled, whether he...
Do you disagree? Do you disagree with my opinion?
No, I generally agree with your opinion. I'm not sure that, all opinions necessarily. Well, no, I say voice an opinion.
Hold on. It's called Ask Ariel Something. A wrist shot is not a question.
Okay, so if I put a question mark...
Excellent point.
Wrist shot, question mark? Is this a wrist shot? Is this my wrist? Does it have to be your wrist to be a wrist shot?
Okay, so you want my service to be like a computer? Is this a wrist shot?
Actually, that's the subsection. The subsection of this chat is it Ariel? No, the subset of the chat is this Ariel or is this AI answering your question? Ariel or AI? I like that. That's another category.
Okay, this is not my idea, but okay.
Anyway, right. How's David this week? We missed you last week.
Very well. I'm much better now. Thank you. Now that I'm not in agonizing back pain. Yeah. And I'm not hooked on painkillers for life. I managed to dodge that bullet as well. So that's great.
So
thank you, Ariel, for the suggestion of not getting hooked on it.
I thought it was good advice.
It really is.
Ask Ariel anything.
Should I get hooked on painkillers?
No. So was there stretching involved? Was stretching what was required? Lots of stretching. And stop typing because it's really loud. Lots of stretching and that heavy typing. I even changed my keyboard because you used to complain that my keyboard was too clickety-clackety. Yeah, anyway, there we go. Right. I don't know, David, whether you listened to last week's show. I wouldn't expect you to because you weren't on it. But we came to the conclusion last week that we should introduce a aBlogtoWatch punk watch. I think that's what we were titling it. We probably need to come up with a slightly better title. And this needs to be a watch that's bad, but not bad enough that you couldn't... Are you both familiar with Ali G and that kind of... and Borat and that kind of thing? You're muted, I think, Ariel. Yeah. Familiar with Borat?
Sacha Baron Cohen?
Yeah, so the character Borat, where he goes in and he tries to pretend that he's serious about something to see if he can convince the people he's speaking to.
Normally he can.
Acting, yes.
Usually.
Acting. So, and the challenge was to choose a watch, that we could, through random vote, e.g. give it to Ariel, make one of the aBlogtoWatch team wear at a big watch event where they have to get wrist shots with their... whatever it is, not an Invicta, because an Invicta's too obviously that you're being, stupid saying, this Invicta's great. It needs to be something that verges on, it's just not awful enough to catch them out, but that we can get lots of photos with the Versace watch or the Michael Kors or the whatever it is with the Rolex executive all giving the happy smile. You take your watch off, trying to get an executive to wear it because they feel like they should be polite because you're wearing their watch. So they obviously ask to wear your watch. What watch do we think is verging on the preposterously bad, but might be able to sneak it past the Chanel booth and not be chucked off at Watches One? So that's the challenge. Question is, Ariel, did you come up with anything in the past week?
These watches are not even on my radar. That's the thing. Like you're talking about some like really bad fake watch or something like that.
Well, no. So Borisich in the chat suggesting the Tissot PRX, something that you can go onto a stand and really unreasonably big up as being, this is just great. You should just get these instead. Why are you buying these Zenith El Primeros? This is a great watch.
There was the biggest. It reminds me of like in the past where like the people that had like the $300 Seikos were like, my Seiko does everything. Like there's nothing your blah, blah, blah does that you can't do with my $300 Seiko. Seiko no longer makes that $300 watch. It costs $1,000 now, right?
Well, maybe that should be it. Maybe it should just be you have to go into a stand with a G-Shock on, and no matter what, and so what G-Shock model would it be? No matter what the rep from MB&F or Rolex says, you say, my G-Shock can do that. That should be the automatic response. My G-Shock can do this.
It's simple. I've brought this up a number of times before. It's the cheapest diamond set watch in the world.
Okay.
The Casio, whatever it is, Casio cheapest diamond. Sorry for typing.
You don't remember the reference number?
You don't remember.
And it's A159 WAD, W-A-D. So A159 W-A-D, and it costs between $70 to $90, not $90,000, but $90. And I have managed to freak people out at various luxury brands. They're like, "Oh, well, that's cute," and I'm like, "It has diamonds." No, I'm like, "It has diamonds," and they're like, "What?" And then they look at it, and it's just like, and the crystal is shaped like the top of the diamond, like the top facets of a diamond. People love that stuff, even if it's like industrial grade crappy diamonds. There's 2 diamonds in there for $70. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think that's maybe the watch. I think maybe there should be like in a aBlogtoWatch watch. We should just buy that for everybody. That should be the gift. So I think everyone needs to go armed wearing the same watch to the next big show. Geneva Watch Days is around the corner-ish. So, or maybe this Fyre Festival thing for watches. We should all volunteer diamond set G-Shocks, the On Fyre Festival. Anyway, Casio, the Tissot PRX has been suggested. Right.
I can't tell people love or hate the PRX. It's very confusing to me.
Well,
everybody loves the PRX.
There's a couple of people who really
Who
don't.
hates it?
But, Alex doesn't like it. So.
It comes into a lot of conversations.
There's a couple of people who don't like it very much. Yeah, he's been on the show a couple of times. Don't
like
that
4 years ago. I mean, I've met a couple of Alexis in that time, so it's just like
don't let that put you off. Don't let that put you off. Generic Scottish Alex living in Australia, not about. But he had
that guy. Is that the guy that was banned from Swatch Group?
Yes, but he was banned from Swatch Group.
Okay.
He had to.
Alex Dash banned from Swatch Group.
Yes, he was fired from Swatch Group. I think it's probably
not
more
just
accurate.
fired. Not just fired.
Anyway, right. Let's talk about some. Well, why don't we start here? Why don't we start with a G-Shock? Seeing as there's one on the site just now, it seems like a good idea. The hands-on with the Casio G-Shock watches for Star Wars, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. First off, has anyone seen the movie yet?
Well, yes.
Is any of this real?
I'm told that it's a bit of it's not very good.
I liked it. I've seen bad movies. That is not a bad movie.
Oh, it's not a bad movie, right? Okay, it doesn't get into the so bad.
Watch like Star Wars. I guess Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and you'd be like, "Oh wow, this is a bad movie."
Star Wars, yeah. I'm not sure how I would rate the Star Wars. What favorite Star Wars movie? Oh, here we go, David. Let's see if we can catch him out. Favorite Star Wars movie, Ariel?
Anything with Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks.
That's a divisive opinion if there ever was one.
I had to explain to my son how Jar Jar was a slightly divisive, controversial figure when he came out. Then he saw it. He's like, "Why is he talking that way?" I was like, "Nobody knows."
Nobody knows. Do you suppose that if other than the fact that he was a controversial character and pretty much... I wasn't that offended by it. I'm not sure.
He wasn't offensive. It was just like, why would they make that character talk that way?
Well, they make lots of characters speak different ways. But do you think they do it again? I think somebody's... What was the dialect? Is it Creole? So I'm not aware of my... But was that kind of Creole type thing? West Indies?
I don't know.
I think we're getting sidetracked here.
I think it's supposed to be a kind of Caribbean.
It's supposed to be Gungan.
Gungan. Well, anyway, we wouldn't do it. Right. So, Mandalorian and Grogu, which is better then, the watch or the movie? Which would you rather?
So here's the thing. The packaging is spot on. The watches themselves have no indication whatsoever that they have to do with these Star Wars movies at all.
Really? Right.
At all.
That's hilarious.
Let's get some images on the screen.
I guess it's possible that Casio had already planned these two watches in these colors. It's like, this is kind of going with the Mandalorian. And look, it's the kind of the same color as the Grogu alien, which I don't know that alien species name. I missed that piece of
Star
Wars information. So they're just standard Casio watches, slightly different color. So they're not any more expensive. So but I actually missed that. Like I wanted a small Star Wars thing on there, maybe on the case back, but something. I felt like it was missing. Usually we complain this was too much co-branding. This was not enough.
See, that's interesting. I hadn't noticed that. Because I was going to make the point that this isn't Yoda. This is not the color I associate Yoda as being, or Grogu, or whatever. Is it not a different color?
Have you seen a Grogu?
From this show?
I don't think this is the right color. So I can totally buy into the idea that they had this watch kicking about, had the opportunity for some co-branding, and thought, well, this is close enough. Let's find a picture of Yoda. Yeah, is that
Yoda and Grogu are not the same character.
I'll find out Grogu.
Extremely nerdily clear.
Is Grogu slightly
greener? My favorite
greener?
quote from this week's show is, "This isn't Yoda." Right, that's it. Just out of context.
This is not Yoda coloured. Well, let's look at the toys. Jeez. Let's see if we can find. Was
the movie as difficult on the eyes as these watches are, or was it easier to watch, to witness?
In the theater, no, it was fine. There wasn't green in every scene.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
And Baby Grogu was a small character, so proportionally on screen, it wasn't that much.
See, that's not the color of the watch.
Oh, jeez.
That's not the color of the watch.
$600 for this?
It's a 1-to-1.
How do we know it's a 1-to-1?
It's a 1-to-1
somebody gone there and measured them?
Hey, it has the word premium in it, okay? That must mean something.
It's animatronic. It's possibly actually the one from the movie. Oh no, this item will be... Hold on a second. This item will be released on the 31st of March, 2027.
Yeah, so buy now, just like watches.
No, I think
everything is pre-ordered now.
I think the movie will be out of the theaters by March 2027.
Is he wearing a watch dial? Like, what is that? Is that a case back or something of an old Rolex?
That's a weird
What's that on his chest?
Who knows?
But that's not, or something.
But you accept that that's not the same color as this watch. So this
My eyes are burning. Thank you, Rick, for this bombardment. I mean, first this green watch, and here it is again. Oh my God.
Look, you know what? It was nice. I wore these watches to the movie with my son.
Okay.
So,
Great.
We Mandalorian it up. We watched the series together a little bit. It was a bonding thing. And he wears Casio anyways.
But does this fit him?
Does that what?
Does this watch fit him, or did you wear both of them?
Well, for the photography, I did, but that is a baby G. That's true. So
it is a baby G. It also is. So it's suitable for.
Is it
You're right. There
is a 45 for baby G or what?
Basically,
that's huge.
There's an even bigger one, David. That's the point.
I know. Yes. People are getting bigger. As time goes on. But are babies huge now or what?
Baby
also includes adults. You know that.
Good stuff. So, how much is the G-Shock? Is it of?
It's like $100. I mean, the metal one is like double the price. It's got the metal part, but it's like $120
and $220. I mean, that's okay. It's a G-Shock. It'll do everything that anything else. Interesting question in the chat though. Isn't Citizen the Star Wars co-branding watch firm?
Yes, but we only gave those away. I didn't actually see one.
All right, okay. But Citizen's made loads of Star Wars-y kind of stuff with symbols and stuff on them.
Casio, and Citizen, and probably others all had watches for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie.
Oh, did they have ones for the same movie as well? Right, okay, I didn't realize that.
Disney offers no one license exclusivity. That's the funny thing. Okay. It used to be like, now they're like, oh, Citizen, you can have it, and everyone else.
All right. So could we get something from Disney then? If Disney, what should we adapt from Disney for this show? Sponsored by?
Do you really want to have the ongoing intellectual property license negotiation with Disney?
With Disney,
they will absorb your life essence.
That's all I ever wanted.
It's all David's ever wanted. Right, okay, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about a brand that I am really struggling with just now. And it's not because I don't like them. It's almost precisely the opposite. This is hands-on debut. The Doxa Sub 200 T-Graph 2 revives one of the rarest diving chronographs of the 1970s.
How is that new? Can somebody prove that to me that this was not released 3 years ago or 2 years ago or a year ago or 4 years ago or 10 years ago?
Our own website, because we write when it came out. That's it. We're the authority
in the
on the matter.
1970s.
Oh, okay. That's helpful.
We're self-referencing.
Other than us.
Exactly my point. How on earth does anyone choose what Doxa to buy? Other than the really new, and I can't remember what the reference is. Let's go to the Doxa website because it's always a fun place.
Okay, in a world where people freak out about slightly different vintage Rolex Submariners, how is this any different?
I don't like that either.
I'm just saying some people do.
Consistency.
Oh yeah, that's true.
What's the wee Doxa? There's a wee Doxa that's kind of a Doxa website. There we go. That looks a bit different from all the rest.
It's like all smaller, the rest of them.
Well, no, it's just not got the same kind of cushion case. That one there. What's that? The Sub 200, which looks slightly different.
Sub 200
ever so slightly.
All the rest. Now the question is there a counter? View all. How many novelties? I'm going to click the view all button. How many lines do you think there's 4 watches in the first line? This is going to be
all the novelties.
You think, as opposed to all the watches?
You should go for the collection and then view all. Okay.
Collection. Oh, view all.
Oh, it's the same. Oh, here we go.
Oh, here we go. One line.
121 products, 137 variants. That's not too bad.
They're slimming down the catalog.
Yeah.
How can you have 121 products
of the same watch,
but 131
so people
variants?
Can buy more, Rick? It's obvious.
No, I don't understand that. I don't understand that maths. You could have 3 products like Rolex. You have a GMT, a Daytona, and an Explorer, and then you could have a number of variants
display
of those. How do you have 121 products and 137 variants? So some of those products,
some come on straps.
Yeah, but so some of those products don't have any variants, but some of them do. That doesn't make any sense.
Here's the thing. I'm just saying, asking for the logic of a watch brand website's organization is an exercise in pure futility. I appreciate you want it to make sense, but you will be here forever screaming, but why? But why? No one will answer.
Forever screaming.
Screaming into the void. And you will never hear an answer. I mean, how on earth do you choose a Doxa? How do you solve a problem like Maria?
Doxa chooses you.
Is that it?
Yes.
Is that it? You just have to randomly. I mean, do we need to introduce the picker wheel of death just for Doxa?
It's basically that. It's a ritual. You surround yourself in a room of all of them, and you feel which energy talks to you the most.
I think Boris.
It's very hippy-dippy.
Boris is suggesting that Omega may be having a hold my beer moment when confronted with 121 products only from Doxa. So talk to us about this new old revival. What's important about this particular Doxa?
More hands on the dial.
Just more hands. It's a chronograph.
All hands on dial.
Now the question is which hand is which. So. Because normally you would say the big hand is the minute hand. Okay, so traditionally, when people are being taught to tell the time, you say the big hand is the hour hand, and the little hand is the minute hand. Now, which hand on this watch would you describe as being the big hand, and which would you describe as being the little hand? And is that the right way around?
It's unclear. I guess the subdials are 160, 130, but
yes. But
the little hand is obviously the hour hand.
And what does the hand that looks like the kind of hand you would normally have in a GMT do? Is that the second?
Is it GMT hand? That's the chronograph seconds hand.
So that's a chronograph seconds hand.
I know you only have one watch rig, but you know how to use a chronograph. Come on. I understand the limitations.
But it looks like the kind of hand you'd have in a GMT. It's got an arrow on the end of it. That's kind of what you have in lots of GMT.
It's not The arrowhead is not limited to the GMT. We know this.
Okay, right. Okay, fair enough.
That's true.
I
like how they have moved the Doxa hand and the sub 200 like to the sides of the dial, and if you just move them back to where they belong, it would just be a perfectly ordinary looking dial, basically. And the whole thing is just like this, and then it's different.
It's just very odd. It's just
and then if you
odd.
ask Doxa, they'll say, "Oh, it's good enough for the 70s."
What other things were good enough for the 70s that
so
aren't good enough for now?
So it's just like
$4,300-ish, depending on which one you get, beads of rice or
I like the orange.
something
And
else.
I like the beads of rice.
Yeah,
That's great.
I mean, orange does feel Doxa, but then you see the aquamarine one and you go, that's really nice too. Or the silver one. How do you choose which
Now
one
you're
to have?
explaining all the versions.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you just need all the Doxas. Maybe,
Here's the thing. You take all of their colors and then you decide you need each one of their watches, but in like each one of the colors. So like the sub 200, whatever in black and some other model in the green. That way you could have like 7 Doxas and they all feel a little bit different.
I mean, I could be into that notion as a solution. But the solution to this problem is I do really like Doxa watches. They do make them an appropriate Rick likes Panerai sizes. So maybe I just need one in each color. I think I need a selection in front of me. If Doxa would like to send a selection.
Okay, can I give you a hint when it comes to Doxa? You start with one of 2 colors, black or orange.
Black, really?
Maybe silver if you're going to be that guy.
So I want to be that guy. You know, I want to be that guy.
Okay, but black or orange is really where you have to start. Silver if you're that guy.
The yellow, the bumblebee.
Not to start.
Not to start.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay. This is some sage advice. This is what you get. This is the kind of advice you get in the Ask Ariel Anything section on the aBlogtoWatch weekly WhatsApp group. If only you could find the QR code to allow you to join. But there we go. So, David, favourite Doxa? And would this be a concern? Would you buy this Doxa? If you wanted to buy a Doxa,
I guess I would. If it's I guess this is one of those that I would consider. I like this in the turquoise dial. If there was an option like that, or maybe there was or wasn't. I remember seeing a Doxa with a turquoise dial that I liked, but I can't remember all these something and then another number. I'm not that into it. I'm just not sold on the idea that I should care. It's just not like, ooh, somebody dive with these and decide, like I've not been involved in the storytelling of it at all, and it have just never reached me. So all I can go by is the design itself, which is a bit, wonky but also fun. So yeah, sure, I would take this.
We take it.
Bleeding ignorance.
Probably an orange. Okay, according to Ariel, why the Swiss luxury watch industry even fears its best customer? Who is the Swiss watch luxury? Who's the Swiss luxury watch industry's best customer then, Ariel? And
America.
Why should they be afraid? And why are they afraid of America?
Well, it's not that they should be afraid. There's a lot of reasons. It's multiple ones. I, on a macro level, discuss the core differences between the business mentality in Switzerland and the American business mentality, and how that core conflict is responsible for not all, but many of the issues. Then I sort of systematically break down some examples of things that Switzerland does in the United States out of fear. And I talk about how this sort of culture of sort of fear and distrust and distance and trying to squeeze people in the United States is not a really great long-term strategy for a market that's supposed to do really well for you. So I advocate for what I think, brands can do about it. But this is really about a cultural comparison examination, which I think merits the conversation because like I said, and like everyone seems to agree, the United States isn't just like temporarily Switzerland's biggest market. It has been for a long time. And as far as we know, like China's not just going to all of a sudden just like shoot to giant growth again, like it did about 15 years ago in a way that just sort of like made America not less important, but it gave the industry an excuse to kind of just ignore a lot of these issues. So these are not new issues, but in my opinion, they need to be examined. People seem to like this article. And also what I'm trying to do is empower the forces that be in the United States, because what I say and what I believe is quite true is that the Swiss do not want many of its business partners in the United States to understand the leverage and the power that they actually have. And so I think the Swiss in large part have successfully, for that matter, manipulated the system where they hold a lot of the advantage and a lot of the cards. And I don't think that's particularly fair for the market. So that's the summary.
So the first headline, if you like, is the uncomfortable watch retail ritual. And this is basically someone goes in, wants to buy a watch, and is basically told, sorry, you can't quite buy that quite yet. You have to join a queue, or you have to do X, Y, and Z. So the making folk jump through hoops, which is quite an anti-American, if you believe that American culture is all about instant gratification and getting what you want now because you can throw money at the problem. It doesn't really lend itself to that. So what impact is that having? Are you seeing folk drift to brands that can supply, or are some people not being put off by it? Or are they just being put off watches altogether as a way of expressing the I've made it?
Look, the reason I discussed that, there's a few reasons, and I encourage people to read the article, but it has to do with presenting a roadblock. What the Swiss are trying to do is say, no, don't be the consumers you want to be. We're going to introduce barriers, or we're going to tell you how to shop. We're going to come to your country and tell you a bunch of things you need to jump through. And my evidence that it's not going as well as the Swiss kind of want is the fact that all the market tries to do is go around it. All the pre-owned, the gray market, all of this is to bypass the roadblocks that the Swiss luxury behemoths put up. So to a degree, it's, I guess it looks successful. I don't know how I would measure the success, but everybody wants to go around it. It's actively going against what the market wants. And I just think that that's silly and unsustainable.
And so you go on, is this what you mean by transatlantic luxury paradox, which is that the American market has just created lots and lots of ways of getting around the fact that you wander into a Rolex store, money no object, and you still can't buy the thing you want. So actually, I've got the cash because I've got the great big Wall Street bonus. I'll just go and spend 10 above retail and buy it from X, Y, and Z.
I mean, maybe that's part of it. The operative element of the paradox is the fact that this capitalist culture and system is what produces most of the customers to begin with. So it's sort of this hatred of the customer. These are the people that can afford your watches. You seem to despise them, right? The type of culture that exists in Switzerland does not produce an awful lot of people who want to reward themselves with lavish luxury watches. Yet the culture that produces those consumers and the expectations they have and the treatment that they demand is routinely not what they get. And I say that these brands like Rolex became popular at a time when going to buy the watch was a better experience. Rolex has degraded it. All people say is, remember that time I had a good experience buying a Rolex? People starting today into watches who are greeted this way with Rolex, I do not think will have a particularly fond relationship with Rolex years into the future. I could be wrong, but I do not think that Rolex is creating as many fans. It might have people that are impressed with it, but I don't think it's creating a lot of love.
Yeah, I think that is spot on. I'd be interested to know what your thoughts on this from a European perspective. But any Rolex boutique I wander into, and I wander into a few, I've never felt welcome in a Rolex boutique. I've always felt like an inconvenience to whatever internet app the sales staff were surfing at the time that I wandered in. Whereas multi-brand boutiques, places that are family owned or places where people need to work hard to sell things,
let me say a story here. So one of the bigger stories, I don't know if people have seen in social media recently, is the passing of Philippe Stern, Terry Stern's father, who ran Patek Philippe for a number of years. And I met him a few times. I did not know the guy. But the stories about Philippe Stern were essentially like this. He would run downstairs and personally explain a Patek Philippe watch to someone who clearly could not afford it, but who was interested. Okay? He would provide great personal service to anyone interested in the brand. He wasn't about selling to just who he thought was cool. He was this sort of guy who was just excited to share his brand with you, and it didn't matter who you are. That's why he was celebrated. That is the exact opposite of what brands like Patek Philippe and Rolex are doing today. I'm not saying that behavior completely died with his generation, but it certainly hasn't been picked up by the next generation.
I think that's a really interesting point. David, what's your experience in Europe? Is it different?
I think it really varies on a wide scale. It really depends where you go. I've had good and bad experiences. It's really been a mix. I've had really good experiences in some places and some other. I think what I think a common thing is that boutiques with a lot of foot traffic without serious customers tend to be a little bit more burned out, or a lot more burned out sometimes. Where hundreds, if not thousands, of people go by the boutique, hundreds of them enter and then ask stupid questions or just browse or whatever, and they are not treated as well as they should be, which is at the core of this issue. So I'm not saying this justifies the staff's behavior. They should not be on their phone. They should not be ignoring the customers. They should be treating everyone equally. And, who knows? Because a lot of people these days are sadly rude and ignorant and whatever, and they think they own the store even though they can't afford anything. So I think it's the culture from the customer's side has also declined, not just from the sales staffs and the brand's side. I think we could also talk about that at some point.
It's been suggested in the chat, I assume to me, that the reason why no one's speaking to me in the Rolex store might be because of my accent. I'm assuming James was suggesting I might be there to rob the place, is what might be being suggested. Right, Ariel, I'm going to ask you to say this word because I don't know how to pronounce it. Old world meets new world frontiers.
Dirigism?
Dirigism. That's a new word for me. What does dirigism mean?
It's a management style that's about hierarchy. It's about top down. It's sort of exactly how the Swiss, business industry. It's we tell you how to do things. We structure a whole format. You're supposed to fit within that system. We don't care what you want. You're going to go with sort of the model that we create. Whereas capitalism is more like, let's see what works. Let's see what people want to get. Right. Let's have the bottom dictate to the top how to operate, as opposed to the top saying, we have all the power, everyone follow our rules.
Look in the chat. Obviously, you can join the chat live if you come on to aBlogtoWatch Weekly YouTube at around 8 a.m. on a Tuesday UK time. Is quoting the Blue Oyster Cult about the fact that he's just been informed that the Swiss fear him. It's a good song, that. I like that song. Anyway, so what's the conclusion of this? Where's this going? Is this going to continue? Like, how is this going to work itself out? Is America just going to get more and more grumpy with the Swiss and eventually reject, in some way, shape, or form, Swiss watch culture and therefore Swiss watches? Is this a long-term problem in the same way that the Swiss watch industry is sending its technology and its innovations, its design nows to China is going to be a long-term problem?
I think it's a good question. I don't claim to know everything, but I'll say this. As long as there's distrust and animosity between people in Switzerland and a lot of the business people in the United States, whether it's retailers or salespeople or employees or whatever, growth and performance is going to be held back. Like, the best type of growth and performance is only going to happen, obviously, when everybody is cooperating. When we don't have that, you're going to have, I guess, for a lack of a better term, just, things are going to be withheld. So the longer this uncomfortable, issues occur between the parties, there's going to be a lack of development to more markets in the United States. There's going to be retailers just aren't going to be able to expand markets or sell as many watches as possible. There's going to be brands that aren't going to have as much support or people fighting for them. There's going to be a lot of consumers that aren't going to hear about things because, the parties are feuding about little things here and there. So it really has to do with the entire watch industry benefiting from the United States market. And right now, when everyone's trying to protect their own ass and doesn't trust one another, that's not conducive to a lot of growth and development. And so that's why I think this happens. And I think that the Swiss need to stop being sneaky, and Americans need to sit there and actually start having a slightly more detailed conversations and negotiations. Retailers are optimistic, celebratory people. They want to think that when the Swiss come to them and say, let's make a deal, that the Swiss have a good plan. The retailers are not thinking necessarily suspiciously, yet sometimes they feel like they're stuck into something that they didn't necessarily anticipate and don't really know what to do in, because the Swiss don't provide rules. I'll give you an example. Rolex has a lot of unwritten rules for its retailers. There's all these things that retailers are not allowed to do, but it's not really explicitly written anywhere. So they're basically not allowed to talk to the media. But as far as I know, there isn't like a formal rule that says don't talk to the media. There's just if I do that and Rolex hears, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get a nasty phone call. That's not fair. If the Swiss want to prevent certain types of behaviors, let people know right away, put it in writing, and make it clear that that's part of their expectations. So I really think that that's the steps that need to be taken. So I don't know necessarily what will happen. There's too many variables at play. But I can say that the market isn't going to be nearly as healthy and productive as it could be with these silly little fights still happening all the time.
I still have, from the Scottish Watches days, an unpublished episode, which was with a Rolex boutique, a very famous hotel in Scotland that now doesn't sell Rolex, and all the people that work there have left. So maybe we should publish it. But it was all fine, no problems. And then somebody higher up found out, oh no, we can't do that. We can't speak about Rolex and all the famous things that may or may not happen at this golf club. It must be removed. So it never published, the only episode that never did. Right.
Was it interesting at all?
It was actually, because of the context of where it was happening. There was some auctions going on at the time to do with golf and Rolex, and it was just before this particular group of companies was about to have an IPO and all the rest of it. So yeah, there was some interesting stuff. But never see the light of day. Maybe I'll need to dig it out and just fling it out there somewhere.
But see, when I mention these things, it's like people don't believe me, because the thing is this: not a lot of people are talking about this. This entire essay and the topic about this, I'm not saying this in a sensationalist way, but like no one in the industry is talking about this. This is of the utmost importance. No one is even talking about this in any way, shape, or form at all.
Yeah,
because it is of their own making. That's why. Yep.
Okay. Well, let's move on. Some people hate it. Some people love it.
Hate what?
But I'm in control of the keyboard, so it's time for Ariel's favourite game, the Picker Wheel of Death. We haven't played it for a few weeks.
It's like the comic relief after the serious topic.
After the serious topic. Let's find out which one of these brands we're going to kill. Which one? I can't even remember what the rules are now. We're going to keep, kill, and hibernate for 50 years and then bring back resurrection style. Let's see if we get any good choices this week from
like
the
resurrection's a style now.
Resurrection style. Well, we had the Jesus watch not so long ago. Oh, is that Constantin Chaykin? Interesting. That's option one. Are you going to keep it, kill it, or send it to sleep for 50 years? Ooh. Ferdinand Berthoud. Okay. Yeah, I think I know which we're keeping already. Certainly if it's up to me. And finally, oh, come on, give us Norcane. Give us Norcane.
Just not Norcane again. Nomos. Thank God.
Nomos. Okay,
if we had to talk about Norcane again, I would just leave the chat.
Okay, so tell me, gentlemen, out of those, everything you know about them, everything you've experienced of them, who do you think just deserves to continue as they are, doing what they're doing? Talk to me about your favourite of those three brands just now.
I can't be the only one that's legit. Oh, go ahead, dude.
I would never kill Constantin Chaykin because he's an actual person and he's great. So, let's let him be.
Leave him in peace.
I would hibernate Nomos for 50 years just to find it, hilariously that they're still making the same thing 50 years from now. Exact same watches. They would just get back into action and just keep making the exact same watches. So, not much of a loss.
All of the stock
as much as I like
Nomos.
Yeah, I like Nomos, but for 50 years, I guess it's fine.
So you're killing Ferdinand Berthoud.
Yeah, I mean, he's already dead, so it doesn't get any deader than that.
It doesn't get any deader. Okay, no, that's justifiable, I guess. Ariel, go on. It's your favorite part of the show?
I'm curious as to who will have better luxury PR, Glashütte or Moscow in 50 years?
Okay, you suggesting I might be speaking Russian?
No, I'm just saying, like,
there's a reasonable chance. There's like,
what's going to be more desirable as a luxury product? I'm just curious. I really don't know.
There's not a non-zero chance that at least one person in this call is speaking Russian in 50 years. It's smooth. It's just.
What are they taking Scotland over? I mean, your accent is closer to Russian than Hungarian is, so you're halfway there already.
Hey, we've got the same patron saint.
If you start speaking backwards, that's technically Russian already.
Anyway, so who will have the better Glashütte? Well, Glashütte is still. Yeah, Glashütte is still going 50 years. Will they be making luxury watches, or will it still just be good old Constantin churning away? I don't know. I think I would put Constantin. I keep Ferdinand Berthoud just because I love him. But I accept the argument that he's dead already, so maybe it's a moot point.
He had a good 10 years of running, after 100 and something years of being dead. I think few people get that.
Nomos would have sold out of all of their stock in 50 years' time, so they may be ready to make some new watches.
So much has to go right continuously in the townlet of Glashütte for it still to be like a watchmaking hub. Like, I love it, but I mean, disagree with me. Like, all those companies need to still be making, like Swatchgruber and Richemont still need to be pretty strong 50 years from now for that city to be anything like it is right now.
Yeah. I mean, it would be really interesting. Fast forward 50 years, at least two of us will be dead by then. David might be hanging on. He'd be in his late.
He'll be passing on the torch.
He'll be passing the torch.
Yes.
David need to come back in 50 years with a greying Ripley who still thinks it's cool to wear baseball caps with brand names on them, and record an episode of these are the brands which 50 years ago were alive but are now dead, or here's the ones that we're resurrecting again. We'll look up at you, David, from wherever myself and Ariel are and see what's going on. So Nomos, 50 years of sleep. Ferdinand Berthoud, we're killing off, and we're letting Constantin keep doing his thing. That seems
finally it's over.
Entirely reasonable. Okay, well then let's move to something much more complicated. Article just dropped, so I haven't even read it yet. So hopefully one of you guys knows something about it. I don't know if you do. This is the Vacheron Constantin Traditionnel Twin Beat Perpetual Calendar Watch returns, I say, with a 70-day power reserve. Is that because it's now quartz?
We had some issues here. I'm not super happy with Vacheron right now because they decided not to have a price. And I guess we decided to write about it anyways. I was basically trying to say, like, we don't want to cover this until we actually have a price. This is a watch that came out in 2019, the original Twin Beat. It's a very cool watch. It looks identical, but it has an improved movement. So I think there's more power reserve and some things like that. What's the basic idea of this watch? The basic idea is kind of interesting. First of all, the perpetual calendar just sort of threw in there. Okay, it's got really nothing to do with why I like this watch. There's like, and it has a perpetual calendar. Yeah. So you see there's sort of this switch, and it goes between 5 hertz and 1.2 hertz. So this is the idea. This is sort of how you're supposed to wear this watch. When you put it on your wrist, you switch it to 5 hertz mode because that's more accurate and designed to cancel out errors while you're wearing it. You're moving your wrist around. That's what causes a lot of the errors where you have a higher frequency, and that cancels it out. But to preserve power reserve, you switch it to 1.2 hertz mode when you're just resting on a desk, because the balance wheel is going to be in a stable position, and it doesn't necessarily have to operate faster. So it allows it to run longer because it's operating slowly, and therefore it uses less power reserve or less power. So I think what you have on there is if you look at the scale, there's like 2 scales there. And I guess they're not necessarily color coded correctly, but one of them has like a number of hours, a number of days. Mm-hmm. And so I think that the way you understand it is if it's on 5 hertz mode, it'll last this long. But if it's on the 1.2 hertz mode, it'll last this long.
Yeah. Okay. I'm surprised that a reduction from 5 hertz to 1.2 hertz, so a fifth reduction, results in a more than 5 times.
Not 15 times. So you go from 4 to 70, so that's almost 20 times.
Yeah, so I don't get that reducing how much it swishes around by less than 4 going from 5 to 1.2. So
I could be wrong, but I think it's exponential. The powertrain, so if you want a car to go at 200 kilometers an hour, you can have 150 horsepower. But if you want to go at 400, you need 1,000. So you need a lot more power to just go twice as fast. So that you need 6 times more power to go twice as fast. So that's basically where we are, I guess, with the inertia of the balance wheel.
There's maths involved, or I refer to my original question, there's a battery in the back somewhere. But so how much was the original? Do we know? What did they report? Do we need to guess the price of the Vacheron Constantin? Oh, for more info, visit the website. What's the best?
I doubt it's going to be on there.
Yeah, I doubt it's going to be on there. But
you were saying something.
Somebody in Europe will leak the price in the next few hours, I'm sure, and we'll just update it. And Vacheron's little policy about not sharing it. I mean, honestly, I think this is the skeeziest thing. Having the price is the most basic thing that you have to mention when you announce anything. I mean, if you announce something, you don't announce the price, it's because you've announced it really early. It's this isn't ready yet. We don't know what this is going to be like. No, Vacheron's like, give us your money now. Oh, we're not going to tell you how much it is. I think this behavior is just flat out unethical. It's just full on unethical.
I mean, even Patek now published the prices on their website, and that's saying something. Where do we think
they want to sell watches? Yeah, that they need to.
Where do we think we'd find this? What is this? This is a Vacheron Constantin. What category? Perpetual calendar. Traditional. So it's going to be in this section, allegedly.
There it is.
Imagine the price is right there. We had to go through all this nonsense.
The price on
we've
request,
requested it, and I can assure you, they will not give it to you.
Inquire.
Price on request, tax included.
Yeah, I like the tax included one. Many of our questions can be via WhatsApp. Do we think we should WhatsApp them from the blog to WhatsApp? Hold on a second.
I'm a sheikh from Scotland.
Yeah. I'm not going to open WhatsApp while publicly sharing my screen, if that's okay.
Well played.
Let me see if it will start the chat. Wonder if I can start the chat from
this is a privacy
the
nightmare.
aBlogtoWatch weekly account.
That will give it away that you're not a sheikh. That's not cool.
Can you give me the price of the new, what are we calling it, or what they called it? I need to do
the
this.
New expensive Traditional that I don't want or need. It's 70 days of power reserve that nobody asked for.
The new 70-day power reserve.
Just say I wear my watches in 60-day rotations, so this is perfect for me.
I wear them in 60-day rotation, so this would be
I am seeking a more perpetual calendar.
Addition. Would be a perfect.
But this doesn't really make too much sense.
Addition.
I mean, if the accuracy is, let's say, 3 seconds per day, and you put it away for 70 days, that's 210. So that's more than 3 minutes. So if you go to your watch, you have to set it anyway.
To push. Look, we know that people like buttons.
Oh, that's true.
And there's a button there that you get to push.
There's just buttons. There's just buttons. It should just be like that. Nomos. Is it the Nomos? It had the counter on it. It just had a button. All it was connected to was a number that would just go up by 1 every time you pushed it.
That's the original.
Yeah, bear no relationship whatsoever to anything to do with timekeeping. It was just so you
Simpler
could push
times.
a button and something would
Christophe
happen.
Claret had a chronograph that every time you activated or stopped it, it would chime. And that's really what people want. They just want a button that chimes.
That's fantastic.
Okay, and we're going to send this Vacheron message. What do you think the automatic out of office is going to say?
Thank you for your inquiry. You're not important to us. Bye.
Okay, here we go. I've sent it. Let's see if something automatically comes back. Nope.
We
They're
could
obviously
care less.
asleep. We couldn't care less. Yes. Goodbye, pleb. Anyway, there we go. I'll let you know next week if something...
You're disqualified because you're using WhatsApp.
That's right. Unless you're...
What, you're running your own errands, you poor pleb?
That's right. Unless you're texting us from 4chan or... What was that? A criminal thing that was unlocked whereby criminals had their own mobile phone network. Do you remember this?
Their own, I don't know. I remember the Silk Road.
Yeah, but not Silk Road.
Was it the Ariel group chat?
That's right. Unless it comes
That's
to
the original Ariel group chat.
Anyway, there we
bunch
go.
Of
yeah.
Ukrainian mob bosses asking Ariel about wrist shots.
That's right. The first person that managed to leverage being a member of the aBlogtoWatch Ariel support group for buying a watch gets a prize. It's being suggested by James, who seems to be in a particularly anti-Scottish mood this morning, that they'll see the Scottish IP address and ignore me, knowing that I can't possibly have enough money in this backward country to be able to afford
Maybe you have it, you're
watch.
just not going to spend it.
Yeah, there we go. Well, there's no message back from Vacheron Constantin's address just yet. Anyway, right.
The unhelpful agent.
The unhelpful agent. What do you think it will? Okay, so have a guess and we'll see if we can get... What do you think this is going to cost?
1.25 million.
1.25 Ariel?
No. Let's look at the original. It's just going to be the original plus about 15%.
What was the price of the original? I thought it might be a link to the article. Oh, original 20. Here we go. How many days of power reserve did the original have? Because it was the same. It had 6. Oh, hold on a second here. The original had 65 days of power reserve.
Unbelievable.
And this has
the
70.
Technology.
Stone the crows. Huh? So I assume the original maybe had 10 or something. How many
movement engineers worked on this extra 5 days? For how many days of Vacheron Constantin as opposed to doing something useful?
I like that they didn't just come out with a new dial color. I like that there was at least some attempt at saying we made it better.
The 65. How would you? This is
the most useless innovation in a very, very long time that I've been doing this.
It was $199,000. That's actually all right. That's not too bad.
I was off
for
by a whole
65
million.
days. But for 70 days, you'll need.
Wait till you get the price of the new one. 700,000.
70 days. I mean, unless you sat it down at 1.2 hertz. Fully wound, you get 65 days. But presumably you're going to at some point wear your $200,000 watch and therefore switch the mode, at which point having 65 days power reserve is completely
Unless
irrelevant.
you want to live dangerously, Rick, and wear it in 1.2 hertz mode.
But
that's what I was
Can
thinking.
you imagine?
Yeah, but I'm also interested because I'm just noticing now, there's only one pointer which suggests that 1.2 and 5 hertz unwind at the same pace.
Well, maybe the hand moves.
Yeah, no, the hand will move, but it's always... Do you think it moves as you switch mode? I don't think it does.
Yeah, I don't think it does.
But
it moves up and down at different rates, obviously.
Yeah. It just slows the rate down. It's just...
Yeah, but I wouldn't have thought that a spring on, a watch going at 1.2 hertz.
You're only asking a $400,000 question. That's all it'll take.
That's true. So yeah, I accept for 200,000 of my dollars, they should not have to answer that question. But maybe for 400,000, they will. Anyway, there we go. That's our show for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. thanks for joining. Tune in again for the live show next week. A Vlog to Watch weekly on YouTube. Oh, I should flash.
We're asking the hard questions.
The hard questions about how to spend $200,000. I'm just trying to see if I can even find the barcode now. Barcode's around here somewhere. Not a QR code, rather.
Did you make a better QR code that doesn't make no sense?
But the only problem with making a better QR code is that it makes you happy, and that is not my job. That is somebody else's job. There you go. There's the QR code. You can scan that, and you'll be able to join the WhatsApp group, which means you're going to need to go to the YouTube channel.
Mob bosses.
My name is Ariel Adams, and this QR code does not make me happy. I do not approve of this QR code. I do not approve
of this message.
That's one ugly QR code. It's true.
I don't know how you make them prettier. But the problem
I like how it says scan me, but the indicator shows the sliding motion. It's so confusing.
Yeah, okay, I can't help that. That's just what happens when you use free software on the internet. Problem is, I can't change it now, because if I change it changes the QR code, and then what happens to
how robust are these codes if you can't you could change a key, you can't do it with this?
No, but then what happens to all the previous episodes that have got this one on it? I suppose
you can still use the same QR.
They'll work forever.
The stuff I don't like, Rick, has nothing to do with the QR code itself. You can preserve that element.
So what is it you don't like about the chat where people get to come on randomly and ask you questions?
We're just talking about the code. It's not a very good advertisement. It's not very clear.
Okay, right. On that bombshell. We'll see you all next week. Cheerio, guys.
No,
see you later. Bye-bye.
No
Bye.